Morning, folks. We're live again this morning. Today is Thursday. Looks like it's going to be a fantastic day. Just putting live on all other channels as well. So everyone is live on everywhere. Now we are live everywhere, which is fantastic. So hope you all are going to have a good day. And the weather forecast looks great for the weekend, which is brilliant. So this morning I want to talk about something very simple. One question I get asked a lot for people who are sending in CVs and doing job applications is, should you put on your CV if you're dyslexic? And that's a big question. That's a big question. And it's a question that can only be answered if you really know the company. So first of all, there's an awful lot of companies out there who say they embrace neurodiversity, but they don't. Now, equally, there's a lot of companies I've worked for over the last number of years who do embrace neurodiversity and have been working on it extremely hard to make sure that their company is a company that embraces all skills, all qualifications, all experience, and neurodiverse people and neurotypical people. And they work very hard to ensure their company embraces all those skill sets. But there are still a lot of companies who say they welcome people who are neurodiverse, like dyslexia, dyspraxia, ADHD, but they're not. They're saying it, but they're not actually doing it. They're saying it because they believe at the moment it's the sexy thing to do to say that, but they don't actually embrace it. So with that in mind, and an awful lot of forms too, a lot of people say to me on an awful lot of application forms for certain types of jobs, they ask you, do you have a disability, which is a word I hate, or are you neurodiverse? And they don't know whether to tick that box, whether to make it easier for them, whether to make it harder for them. Will actually be that, if they are dyslexic, dyspraxic, will that be taken on board and weighed against them or weighed for them? And it's very hard to know the answer to that question, depending on the company. And this is what it all comes down to. Who is the company? Who is the company, and how well do you know them? If it's a small company and you've been recommended to them and you know them well, and maybe you know the owners well, well then yes, you can say at the interview that you're dyslexic or dyspraxic or ADHD, if you feel comfortable doing so. And the challenge with this is, like, if you know the company and you believe they'll take that on board, and you believe the company maybe are looking for people who are neurodiverse. It could be an architect firm, it could be a graphic designer, it could be in the film industry, it could be one of those companies that are screaming out for people maybe in coding and in programming, and they know that people who are neurodiverse, dyslexic, dyspraxic, or autistic are very good and fantastic in that type of job environment. They're very good at finding problems and solving problems. They're very good at figuring out what's going wrong and how to make it go right. So if you're going for a job that you know your neurodiversity is a major asset, well then yes, say it and say it out loud, because you know it would help you get the job. But if you're going for a job maybe in an estate agent or an accountancy firm or a firm of legal or solicitors or a semi-state company, then you may not say it, because you might be worried about what will the view within that company be, within the HR department be, about people who are neurodiverse. So it's very hard to know, right? So it's really a case-by-case basis. And that's me giving an answer without really giving a full answer, where it is a case-by-case basis. And it also depends the level of job you're looking for. If you've done very well in your industry and you're going for a high-level job like an MD, chief accountant, CEO, head of HR, and maybe you have a lot of experience underneath your belt, well then you're not really worried about what you're going to say, because you're bringing all this experience with you from your last work and your last jobs. And as part of that experience, your experience of being neurodiverse has actually helped you. Your dyslexia, dyspraxia, autism, ADHD has helped you gain all that experience and become a serious player in your industry. Well, then there's nothing wrong with saying I'm neurodiverse. Nothing wrong at all whatsoever. But it's more people who ask me this question are looking for a lower level in the job spectrum. So they're not going for MDs. They're not going for CEOs, or they're not going for financial directors. Maybe they're just going for a normal accounts clerk. Maybe they're going for a junior in the HR department, or they're going for a sales role, or they're going for a marketing role, but they're not going for the top role in that company. That's where they find it harder what to say and who to say it to. And that's why they ask that question, should I say it on my CV? So you just have to understand that if you're going to tell a company that you're neurodiverse in the job interview, you need to know that company well. You need to know the people who you're going. Do you know the people who you'll be talking to? Do you understand who they are? Do you understand the role? And then, do you feel comfortable telling them that you're dyslexic? One of the big things is an awful lot of people who are neurodiverse still don't feel comfortable telling other people that they are. They don't feel comfortable in telling people that they're dyslexic, dyspraxic, autistic, ADHD. And especially they don't feel comfortable telling someone who is new to them and who maybe they're meeting for the first time. And that's a big factor as well. That if you're going into a job interview and you're going to tell someone that you're neurodiverse, you have to have the confidence to tell them. And that's why the more experience you have in your workplace, if you are going in for a top level job, like managing director or head of marketing or head of sales, you're going to have that. You're going to be comfortable telling someone because you know how it's worked for you and helped you all along. But if you're going on a more junior level, you won't have that experience of being comfortable saying it to someone. So my advice to you is do a bit of research in the company. Is this company that you're going for a job for looking for people who are neurodiverse? If they're looking for people who are programming, coding, architects, graphic design, all those type of roles, then they will be definitely looking for people who are neurodiverse. But if there's other types of roles that you're unsure of, maybe in sales, maybe in marketing, then you need to make a decision on a case-by-case basis. And it's not an easy decision to make. Now, you can always tell a company after you get the job. And I know people who have told companies, and then because they haven't got the job, believe they haven't got the job because they told them they were neurodiverse. But that may not be the case. Maybe you as an individual didn't suit that role, didn't suit that job, didn't suit that person. Maybe your experience didn't suit the role you were chasing. But there's nothing saying after a period of time when you're comfortable and you get to know the company well, you get to know your bosses, the owners of the company, the directors. Nothing saying after a period of time that you can then go and decide to tell them that you're neurodiverse. Nothing whatsoever. But make sure you're comfortable doing that. That's important. If you are looking for any tips, any free training videos, we have a load of stuff up on the paragraphchallenge.com. We're also releasing this week our new maths program for Maths Made Easy. And we have addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. So if you have a child in school and they don't have the basics of maths, and so maybe they're in junior school or primary school, and they're going into secondary school, or maybe they're still staying in primary school for a year or 2 years, but you feel that maths is bad because they don't have the basics of maths. They've missed the basics. Well, in this maths program, it's an online maths program, will suit you down to the ground. It's going live on the paragraphchallenge.com and sometime today. So look out for that. And you can do your child can do it at their own speed. You can do it with them. It's a well thought out program. It's based on Anne-Marie's 20 years experience of helping people around neurodiversity, dyslexia, dyspraxia. But you don't have to be neurodiverse to do our maths program. You could just, maybe a child, maybe they're out sick, maybe they're anxious, maybe they don't go to school very often, and they've missed the basics of the maths curriculum, and they need that to help them get to the next stage and to understand maths as a whole. Well, that program is going on sale in the next 24 hours. That's all from me for this morning, folks. Thanks for joining me. Really appreciate it. And I'll be back tomorrow being Friday. So have a great day and take care of yourself.